money they don't have, where for the Joneses, the Johnsons, and the Jacksons. The righteousness of God by faith. Now give your own self a high five. At the time of our text, the Philistines and the Israelites were at war again. Since the days of Noah, after the flood of the nations of Philistia, the nations of Philistia and Israel were at constant warfare over territory and creature comfort, fighting over stuff and fighting over territory. In this particular instance, the Philistines stood on a mountain on one side and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, with a valley in between them. There arose the champion of a huge man by the name of Goliath, who was nearly 10 feet tall with a bronze helmet on his head, dressed in an armor of over 126 pounds. He had a spear the size of a fence rail, where the tip of it weighed over 15 pounds. And he had a shield bearer who walked ahead of him, his armor bearer. Goliath came out to challenge the Israelites to war. He called out to Saul, king of Israel, to select his best man to fight him rather than the armies of the Philistines and the Israel. Wouldn't it be nice if we had us hope? It's a terrible thing to lose hope. I said it's a terrible thing to lose hope. David, the son of Jesse, an Ephraimite from Judah, comes on the scene. Jesse, the father of 8 sons, inclusive of Jesse, was too old to join Saul's army and fight in the war. Therefore, he sent 3 of his oldest sons, Eliab, Abinadab, and Shammah, to fight in the battle. And while David's old military camp, his father told him to go to the military camp where his brothers were to take some lunch down there to them and see how they were doing down there. David got up early the next morning to go to his brothers to bring them lunch and to see how they were doing. And as his father had requested, upon arrival, David noticed that the war was brewing among the armies of the Philistines in Israel. He heard that the Israelite soldiers were talking, and he overheard them talking, and he saw them in fear because of that uncircumcised Philistine giant Goliath, who was continuously challenging and taunting the Philistines. David began to question his oldest brother Eliab as to what was going down, while thinking in his mind that he could defeat Goliath. His brother told him, "Get back. You ain't nothing but a little old ruddy sheep herder. Go back and take care of daddy's sheep. Get out of here. We don't need you." You know how older brothers do to younger brothers. "Oh, get going. Get out of here. After all, you're just a sheep herder." David was adamant about his desire to fight and conquer Goliath. He had in his heart, in his mind, "I can take down this joker." Meanwhile, Saul overheard the conversation between David and his brothers. And Saul sent for David because he wanted to question him about what he had just heard. And when David came to Saul, he said to him, "Master, don't give up hope," because earlier they all had given up hope. "I'm ready to go and fight Goliath." Saul said to David, "You got to be tripping. You can't fight this Philistine. You're too young, you're too inexperienced. And as a matter of fact, however, as a shepherd, I tend that God gave me